One question people can ask us is, when does it not make sense to look into solar and batteries? This question doesn't come up too often, but I guess some people like thinking, am I going to be wasting my time by looking into it and it's not even going to work out for me? Most people though feel like it's worthwhile to look into it because they're going to save a lot more on their electricity and have more ownership and control over the long term, and freedom with being able to use more electricity that doesn't cost as much. But there are a couple of things that would be obstacles that would have to be fixed before installing solar. So a few things can include: one, roof structural issues. So if the roof is very old and it's leaking, that roof would really need to be replaced or repaired so that it stops leaking and that it's structurally sound enough to be able to support panels. So any like rusted corrugated roofs, typically it's not good practice to install panels on those because that can lead to more structural issues with water ingress and mold and structural damage over the long term. Another roof issue would be if it's like a decromistic roof, which is like tiles with metal underneath it. So if that, for that particular roof, it's typically non-viable to install solar and batteries with that kind of roof. So that roof would have to be replaced with a more standard, say, COLORBOND or tile roof. COLORBOND is usually the easiest, like a tin corrugated steel, galvanized steel roof. That's typically the simplest to install solar panels on. Um, another obstacle to installing the batteries would be that there is a lack of space available for a battery. So there are clearance requirements of how a battery can be installed for safety, because they are a slight fire risk, even though that's the a lot of people have been worried about batteries being a fire risk. However, a lot of the batteries that have caught fire in the news or exploded have a different chemistry, whereas the batteries being installed today have a safer chemistry. So the difference in chemistries is lithium, cobalt, nickel, cobalt. They're the ones that are higher density, and that were more prone to catching fire or exploding. So those were the LG Chems, for example, that were recalled. That's a prominent example. So that chemistry isn't being installed today. The different chemistry that's safer, is less dense, is lithium iron phosphate. Okay, that chemistry is less dense and safer. It's less prone to catching fires. It can have internal fires or melted components if it's not installed correctly, and there have been some issues, for example, with SIG Energy batteries in that regard. Those were issues because of the issues with the connector, the connection, the connect the battery to the house. So, I wanted to draw that to attention. What else? Was there to go over? So the question again was, when does it not make sense to look at solar and batteries? So we covered the roof issues with the decromistic roof or an old rusting roof or any leaking roof. Any kind of those issues, any leaking roof that has to be fixed, any roof leaks before. The roof needs to be structurally sound enough to install panels. Again, with the battery, the clearance requirements are important to because if there's no suitable location around the home or in the garage to install the battery, that means it's not wouldn't be able to install it while meeting installation requirements and guidelines. So because of that, it wouldn't yeah, wouldn't be a good practice to install a battery like while breaching any installation requirements or guidelines. Other than that, even if someone is using very little electricity, it can still make sense to get solar panels and batteries because it allows them to use more electricity without costing as much. So that's one factor. Another is that if they have a bigger battery, even if they're not using much, it just means that there's more electricity to export to the grid. And then if they switch to Amber, where they get access to the wholesale rates that are higher at night and lower during the day, it means they can make more money by exporting electricity to the grid. So most people with a battery that on a virtual power plant have switched to Amber because they're the most popular electricity retailer for battery owners that allows them to maximize savings. So even if they have if someone has low daytime usage, still having solar and batteries provides more on-site generation and storage that they can use that doesn't cost as much, provides more future-proofing from rate hikes, allows them to use more electricity with air conditioning, electric vehicles, long hot showers, that sort of thing. Some people say, oh, I'm moving soon, so it doesn't seem like it's going to be worth it. You could look at it that way. On the flip side, though, one thing to consider is that that's actually a big reason why people look to getting help with solar and batteries, because when they move, what it means is they can sell the home more quickly and at a higher value because the home isn't getting electricity bills anymore. It's getting credits instead, like the people we've been able to help. So what that means to them is that they can, even if they move after a short time, they can still get more back than what they put into it. Another factor to consider is that batteries are portable, so they could take it with them when they move. So that's another avenue as well. Either way, they can sell it more quickly, higher value, and get more that way, or continue to get savings from their own electricity by moving it with them when they move. It's possible to remove panels, but it's not really worth it. It's better just to leave them as they are and just install a new system for the new property and let keep it for the existing property and let it increase the property value and get a return on investment that way. So I hope that covers it. So when does it not make sense? Roof issues like a dichromatic roof, a rusted roof, any leaking roof, all those issues need to be fixed before installing panels. Sometimes it can make sense to respray the roof if it's looking quite aged before installing panels. If electricity usage is not that much, that doesn't really matter that much because, again, it just means that battery owners get more savings if they continue to not use much, or because they have their own on-site electricity generation around the clock. They can just use more without worrying how much it's going to cost them because it's low cost. So hope that makes sense, and again, they can make more earnings by exporting the excess electricity with Amber with high wholesale rates. Alright, if you've got any questions, leave a comment below, complaints, feedback, etc. Otherwise, if you found it helpful, hit the like button and the subscribe button to stay tuned for more. Alright, all the best.